Exciting. I don't know what to say. I think that's the best way to start it. I don't know what exactly brought me here. I think it's life. I live just around the corner, so it was basically 5 minutes walk through the hood. I came to Zurich 12 years ago, almost 12 years ago, because I used to live in Berlin and I was a mess. I'm still a mess, but now I'm a magic mess. I think back then in Berlin I was basically lost, which is good because it was pre-Instagram, so there's no documentary. From what I think, but maybe I left some expressions there. I left Berghain with tights, nothing more, and I forgot a lot. But people remind me, think, do you remember when? Most of the time I have to say, no, sorry, I don't remember. And Switzerland did good to me. I think the biggest present, it made me sober in a way, and even more crazy the other way. But I don't know exactly what happened. It was a phone call that took me here. And there was a woman on the phone asking me if I want to work in Switzerland. It's a fashion magazine called Annabelle, and it might be the biggest fashion magazine in Switzerland, which is small. So I never heard about that. I was like, yeah, sure, let me just finish the drink, I might come. And I ended up under a big magnolia tree in front of the media company that was publishing this Annabelle. And it was, never experienced a country to change your life, but Switzerland did. It took the best out of me. I came here like a raw, uncut, whatever stone, not that precious maybe, and now I shine my light. I try to shine my light every day, more or less. And being a fashion editor is like being in Wonderland all day, every day, because you get, back then you really got spoiled, you got invitations, you have to go to Paris, you have to go to Milan, and you have to see this and that, and that, da, da, da. And I was like, wow, Wonderland. People love me. Actually, they love my publishing power, because they knew when they sent me some pants, and I take pictures of pants, the pants end up in the magazine, and the magazine ends up in the shop, da, 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 da. The story of the pant. And I really took it personal. I took fashion very serious. I was like, oh wow. I believed the whole fairy tale, all of the designer stories and everything. And I never realized that I was just like a tool for an industry that had to be served. And I mean, when I was very young, before I even knew that I want to work in fashion, I just lived in a fantasy fairy tale world. I grew up in Wonderland with two sisters in a big white house. We had horses and a pool, and everything was just Wonderland. And I refused to leave Wonderland, and that's why I ended up in fashion, telling fairy tales to myself first of all, and to others. And the reason behind I found out why I work in fashion was because I had to express myself through clothes and people and working with models and everything, going to South Africa, going here and going everywhere, but not going to myself. That's another story. And I felt so blessed. I was like, oh my God, the whole world is so, and everybody's just waiting for me. And it was, I mean, the truth behind the devil wears Prada is that the devil wears Prada. And I never saw that. And it was just like, oh wow, now I'm here, and da 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 da. And then life kicked in, and I was like, okay, there's structures, there's everything, and I wanted to hide under every desk I've met. I've met a lot of desks and clothes and everything. And suddenly I realized that this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life, because growing old in fashion is like not possible. Growing conscious and old is another story. And I understood that there are so many things wrong in the world that I was serving. And I quit my job. Actually, they offered me to kick me out or that I quit. It was not like that I was too free and too full of everything. And I expressed myself still with clothes and everything, because the reason behind this, dyslexia. I'm quite dyslexic. I don't know how to write proper. That's why I'm a writer now. Yeah, I learned to go beyond fear. That's maybe the reason I'm sitting here. I really learned to go beyond fear. I don't know, but quitting your job when you have a job like this, like very prestige and a lot of shoes and a lot of stuff and a lot of everything except a real life, it's a tough decision. And then I was there. Actually, the last trip I did, I went, they invited me, Mandarin Oriental invited me to come to Mexico. And I've met a shaman there, a real proper one, in this 5-star luxury hotel. But it was a press trip. Whoever took a press trip knows what press trips mean. It means basically that you get spoiled from day one. The moment you arrive at the airport, they give you a big present, and then they send you off with the plane around the world just to make sure that you write nice or speak nice about the hotel. I would never ever say something bad about Mandarin Oriental, because it's paradise still. And so it worked. They invited me, and I was there in Mexico. And there was you get this like little plan, and it says, you have to get up at this time, you have to push this button to go there, and then everything is organized, pretty much organized. Only thing you have to organize is your wardrobe and go there. And then I went there, and there was a spa appointment. I was like, okay, we're going to the spa, let me just finish my drink. So did that, and suddenly I heard a drum. Dong, dong, dong. It's like, what the fuck, drums. And then I smelled something like really weird. Now I know what it was. It was a mixture of magic, Palo Santo, and whatever they burn there. It's like, oh, nice. It's different, but it's good. And then I saw a real shaman wearing a jaguar piece on his hat, like the teeth, everything, da 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 da. And he was the shaman from the village next door, and they invited him to have rituals and spa treatments. It was the best spa treatment I ever had in my whole entire life. Because I don't know what happened, but something happened. We had to enter a small hut, and there were all these other like very serious journalists. One left the minute before it started. The other one left 2 minutes after it started. So it was me, this shaman, this little hut. And in the middle there were stones. And it's something called Temazcal. It's like a ritual where you call in all elements and you burn things, and it's getting hotter and hotter and hotter. It's like a sweat, steam room kind of experience. I almost passed out. I think I passed out. I don't know what happened. I cannot tell. Maybe don't have white wine before you do that. Next time I would recommend to, yeah, but not the story. Not talking sobriety. Yeah, and then it happened. I don't know what he did, but it flipped my whole entire life. When I came back, I quit my job from one day to the other, more or less. After I went to Miami and had an art experience there. So I came back, and this trip completely changed everything. And then I quit my job, went to an art exhibition here in Zürich, and met the father of my son in public transport. He was wearing turquoise tune shoes, and I was looking at him, staring at those shoes. I was like, what the fuck? Are you wearing? Okay, yeah. Good. Then he stalked me on Facebook. We just saw each other for a moment, and he stalked me on Facebook. I don't know how he did that, but never asked. Yeah, and then I was pregnant like 6 minutes later. And that again changed my life. Because there was no other chance. I did not have a proper job. I was living in expensive Switzerland. I recently met a guy, and I was pregnant. I tried to ignore all facts, tried to escape, not possible. I'm trying to escape still, like I don't want to be here right now because it's like, I'm here. Showing up is always the first thing. That's what I learned from yoga. Showing up is the first thing. Go there, show up. Rest, see what happens. So, and then I still was pregnant. Thank God, it's a 9 months journey. And I didn't know what to do with that. And I didn't know the father of my child. For real, because we just met. I mean, there was like little time in between. It was like, okay, now I have to do something. And then I started to work as a freelance stylist, which is great when you're pregnant. Because you can carry a lot. It means nothing. Advertisement in Switzerland soon comes to the point where it's like really serious business. And I had to perform some jobs to make some money. I worked for insurance companies, like for all the big banks, for all the, like, I came there and I was like, okay, the mess here is even bigger than in the magazine world, which was fantasy compared to reality. And I had to work. Not in a Rihanna way, but in a real proper way, because somebody had to make the money. It was me. And I still wanted to go on trips. Then he decided to become a yoga teacher. I was like, yeah, let's do that. Where can we do that? Okay, we decided that he became a yoga teacher in Bali. So went to Bali. Life again changed. I ended up with a child, which I recently met. Like, child, okay, that's you. Mama, that's not me. I struggled with being a mother like the whole 3 years. Like the first 3 years, I was like, what the fuck? What can I do with you? Because you're small and I don't know. And I still do. Now he's 6 and he goes to school. He just started on Monday, which is good. It helps me, gives me structure. I forgot to pick him up today. Teacher called, like, where are you? I was like, I'm sitting at the sport bar having a beer. Which is true. And I never met that teacher before. That was our first talk. It's like, yeah, tell him I'll be there in 5 minutes. That's why I can only live here, because everything is close. I cannot, like, otherwise, imagine I would have been in Bali. That would be, like, too bad. It's like, tell him he has to wait 30 minutes. So back to when I was working and pregnant and in Bali. Bali, again, flipped everything. I mean, this is what Bali does to all of us sooner or later. If you've ever been there, think about it twice. It will change everything. It changed me twice, because we went there, he became a yoga teacher, we came back, he was a yoga teacher. And I still was working, because somebody needs to bring in the money, because we wanted to travel more, and I tried. I worked, and he fell in love with another yoga teacher, which was not me, unfortunately. But we decided to go back to Bali, and when we went back, I became sick, like super sick, like sick as in dengue fever sick. I was staying in a shitty place, all sick, and there was this like, the Milky Way, because it was Nepi, which is a holy day in Bali, and everything was closed, including all hospitals, everything closed. And I was sick, and I remembered this shaman. It was like, okay, the guy 3 years ago, 6 years ago, who knows, time's just a concept. I was sick, as in sick can be. I almost passed out for 3 days. I have the feeling David was taking care of me, coconut water. I was like, yeah, passed out again. That's how you cure dengue fever. Then he became sick with dengue fever. So we both were sick with dengue fever and decided to go back to Switzerland, which was a great decision, because could work again. But this time I couldn't, because everything changed, including my personal power. And then the magic slightly started. I had a few more like really hardcore experiences that shaked me, and I had to prove that I'm ready to go beyond fear. What happened after I came back from Bali was that my father committed suicide. It was not from one day to the other. It was due to mental health, unhealed family things, because some of you want to go home and heal family issues. I think it's that time. Do it. And after he died, I was like, okay, now what? I couldn't work anymore, like physically. Because when you are a stylist, you have to carry stuff, you have to talk to people, you have to perform, you have to be out there, you have to da 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 da. And I couldn't do all of that. And David couldn't either. So what happened? He left me. And then there was me, the child that needs to go to kindergarten every day. And he not only left me, he also decided that he's not feeling family duties. It's like, good, you're not feeling it. I'm a mess. I'm still a mess, but it would be nice if we can take care of this child together, and we are still figuring out how to take care of a child when you're not a couple, when you're da-da-da-da-da. It's everyday discussions and everything. We really have to work on a proper way. But then what happened was that I learned so much from all of this experience. And suddenly people asked me to share about my experience and to write about my experience. And I used to write a lot before, not as in being a writer and having responsibility. It was more like, if you like to wear blue shoe, don't forget to put red socks, da 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 da. It was more like lifestyle writing, and suddenly it was all much deeper. And then the girls from Hey Woman, they asked me to write a horoscope. And I was like, did you just ask me to write a horoscope? How? Why? Yeah, we are sure you can do that. It's like, okay. I know that there is the moon and there are the stars and there is the sun and there is me and something da 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 da. And I mean, I always had like a natural interest for that kind of topics. And now I'm writing horoscopes for fashion magazines, and people love it. And I don't know why, but for sure I know why, because I think there is something in it that's beyond the moon and the stars. It's magic and it's empowering, and this is, I think that's my path. It is to be like to empower people on their journey. And sometimes when they tell me how many people click on those things, I was like, what? Why? Who is reading horoscopes in magazines, or who's even clicking them? And it was like, because I'm sitting there in my, this is the nicer version of pajamas, writing my stuff, and I learned from it, from my own experience. It's like, okay, when there is Mars, what do we know about Mars? And then it goes like this, and it works. And I still don't know why. And I think the message, if there is a message I have, then it's go beyond fear. And even if there will be no sun tomorrow, maybe we have thunder and lightning, but for sure there will be a next summer. And if you believe that, and if you believe that there are more things between heaven and earth, and that everything at the end makes sense. When I was so sick in Bali, I was like, this is my end, this doesn't make any sense. I didn't know that it will be much, much, much worse. And I still believe that there is magic, and that magic is real, and that we all deserve that. And right now, the times are so crazy for everyone. I'm sure I'm not the only person in this room suffering from whatever loss, whatever heartbreak, whatever. And still, it only makes you stronger. And if there's like a sense in life, then face your demons, face your fears. Amen. Was that 20 minutes?